What's up everybody, Alex here, and today I've got 3 top tier builds for you for this new meta that is now upon us. The first is a build that I call Perfect Balance, and the reason for this is because very early in the game you're able to synergize with 6 units, 5 different synergies. You're going to have the Warrior Alliances shown here with the 10 plus armor. You're going to have Hunters, which have been newly buffed with Lycan. You have your Heartless, which is going to increase the amount of damage your Hunters are going to be able to do. You have your Savages, which are going to increase the damage of all your allies. And finally, the Brawny, which helps you to last a little longer in the early game. Positioning wise, what you have here is you have your Druid Ranger boosting the attack speed of your primary DPS units here, which are going to be your Beastmaster and your Lycan. And honestly, this is a very successful early game build with just 6 units. You can also, if you wish, you can substitute Axe for Juggernaut. They do accomplish the same thing. Axe is a little more effective in the early game and Juggernaut a little more effective in the late game. So I do prefer to go Axe early and keep Juggernaut on the bench if I can. If you get a Blink Dagger, Axe is very handy, especially against mage comps if you can blink them behind the back line there. But overall, you're also looking for Hunter's Focus and Unstoppable as early item draws. As you progress to the mid and late game, what you're going to look for is you're going to switch things up a bit. Once again, as I mentioned, you're going to want to substitute Axe for Juggernaut. Now you have your 6 warriors, and as you can see, they're positioned around your Drow Ranger, protecting your Drow. You might be wondering, hey Alex, Tusk is in a weird spot. Well, that's because if you're against assassins, you're going to want Tusk there to basically pick up on the aggro being sent towards Drow Ranger, because Drow is going to really affect the attack speed of Beastmaster and Lycan. We've added Coccia here. Coccia is going to allow for some stuns and going to really push through the defensive line of your opposition. Doom has been added. We want that demon bonus, and also Doom's silence is completely underrated. It can single-handedly turn a tide of battle, and given that he's off on the edge here, he should be able to get 2 separate Dooms off in one fight. So that completely takes out two enemies from the game. Further, Troll Warlord, he's kind of your late pickup there. If you can, he is the legendary that has the most synergy with this build. He will do a ton of damage, especially beside your Drow, and he's tanky enough to protect your Drow as well. If no assassins jump behind here, and I know I'm kind of talking a lot about Tusk here. He's a tier 1 hero, but you know what? He's still very effective. And if there's no one here, if you have something like regen boots on him, he'll just run up. He'll run up and he'll start doing damage as well. So this is a very effective build. As you can see, great synergy across, but there's one more thing that we can do to make this even better. And that is to convert on over to Fall from Grace. If we're able to convert the human alliance bonus to Fall from Grace, what you're now going to get is you're going to have a negative 10 armor effect on all opposition units. That is going to allow your units to do an absolute ton of damage, because now Pudge, Coccia, Lycan, and the Drow are all going to be contributing to the Heartless alliance synergy. This is a fantastic build. It is strong from start to finish. It is what I believe to be the best build currently in the game with this new meta. So definitely try it out and let me know what you think of it. The second build that I want to talk about is the good old classic Dragon Knight. So Dragon Knights, they're just as effective as they were before, and if you have a lot of early synergy here. Bat Rider, Luna, Witch Doctor, Warlock, Chaos Knight, they are all very early units. You'll be able to grab them nice and early. Abaddon is awesome, is absolutely awesome in this build. You're going to have 4 Knights, 2 Warlocks, 2 Trolls, and a Demon. You're going to be surprised with how much damage the Chaos Knights can be able to put out. This is a great, solid opening build, and I think that opening strong is really important in this new meta, especially with the changes to the amount of damage being caused in the early rounds. You might just think, hey, it's 1 more damage, but it adds up pretty fast. Moving on to the mid game, you're going to see that we have 6 Knights present. Abaddon in the front. With his shield, he can take a ton of damage, and he's going to do a nice AoE splash damage there when he's given the opportunity. Bat Rider's tankier than people would believe, and he should be at least 2-star by this point. Omni Knight does way more damage than people give him credit for, especially with his heal, which is also an AoE effect damage. Chaos Knight, and remember, what we're looking for here is we're looking for the Dragon synergy here. So we're going to have Viper and Dragon Knight. Dragon Knight positioned in a way that he's going to obviously be transforming into a dragon. He's going to have a ranged attack, protect him in the corner here, and Luna's gonna be able to attack as well as your group kind of shifts. Necrophos is a great pickup as well. He's going to complete the Heartless synergy for 4 Heartless, especially if you're able to get Fall from Grace, which I know I just spoke about. Fall from Grace might be low-key one of the best items currently in the game that people are really not picking, which surprises me, especially with these synergies. Viper, you're positioning here because with the Dragon synergy bonus, he's going to really slow down any assassins that jump on him, and it's going to protect the Necro, which is going to do a ton of healing and a ton of damage, and your Witch Doctor, who's going to be stunning like crazy. This is a very solid build. It's a little susceptible to AoE damage, like from Disruptor or even Keeper of the Light, so be aware of that. But otherwise, this is an extremely strong strategy. Moving into the late game, if you're looking to spice up your DPS, I would remove Witch Doctor and Necro, and in their place, I would put the Troll Warlord and the Lich. Necro and Witch Doctor have incredible ults. They do a ton of damage. They do a ton of healing. But overall, what I would prefer is to have Troll Warlord and Lich. They do still synergize with the Heartless, and they're going to greatly increase the DPS of your units. If you're comfortable leaving Necro and Witch Doctor, they're still good. Witch Doctor's stunning ultimate is fantastic. It's one of the most underrated ults in the game, and it's still effective. However, I do think that Troll Warlord and Lich do provide that one last late game push that'll push you right through the end, especially if you have Coordinated Assault and you have Fall from Grace. In our third build, we have once again an extremely strong opening with 6 units that synergize wonderfully with Savage, Druids, and a Demon for the added DPS. We're going with the Chaos Knight in the front to take the most damage. We need to position ourselves against the right wall here in order to protect our Enchantress and our Venomancer. Lycan's going to be doing a ton of damage, and Tusk is a great pickup as well. Nature's Prophet and Venomancer are going to be creating spawns, and the Druid synergy between Enchantress and Nature's Prophet are going to allow you to have quicker 2-star units. It's unlikely that you have Nature's Prophet at 2-star, before like round 7 or 8, but it's a good chance that your Enchantress will be at 2-star by round 7 or 8. So what you're going to have is you're going to have 2-star Druids, which is very effective in the early game, because once again, we have to conserve that early game HP. Transitioning into the mid game, what I would suggest you do is you take Nature's Prophet off the board and put a lone Druid instead. We also want to add an Abaddon in there for the added tank ability with his shield and his burst damage. Further, what I would do is I would position the Chaos Knight and the Abaddon so that they're taking advantage of the Night bonus while also protecting your interior units. The lone Druid is key because his bear is a very effective fighter and does increase damage at the end of the round to your opposition. And once again, we want a podium, so we want to make sure we're doing as much damage as we can. It's also important to note that your lone Druid will probably only be 1 or 2 stars, and that's fine. You do not need to push your lone Druid to 3 stars, because there's a good chance that you'll be able to get your Enchantress, who's being under-selected right now, to 3 stars. That means that the Druid synergy will always buff up your lone Druid to 2 or 3 stars. And finally, transitioning into the late game, what we have here is we have an excellent tanky build with Abaddon in the front, Necrophos and Lone Druid protecting our interior, because our Venomancer, Enchantress, and our Crystal Maiden, we need to keep them up so that we can spawn as many things as we can. Now, those of you that have been trying Venomancer would realize that at 1 and 2 stars, he's pretty weak. But you know what? Getting Venomancer to 3 stars is extremely achievable. And he has, without question, the biggest spike in pure DPS from 2 to 3 stars than any other hero in the game right now. That is easily achievable at 3 stars. Venomancer, you can get him to 3 stars relatively early, and he is going to have such a huge impact on the board. Especially when you consider that all allies are getting a 45% damage increase, and you're also selecting Fall from Grace if it's available to give all your opponents a negative 10 armor debuff. Now, as I said, I've been saying this through this entire guide. Fall from Grace is without question one of the best items in the game. I cannot believe more people aren't talking about it. It's going to have a huge positive impact on your ability to do DPS, especially with that Savage buff. You have Warlocks doing some healing here, which is great. And finally, again, the Druids are still buffing each other, so don't worry about leveling up that lone Druid. Get your Enchantress to level 3. She's going to do a ton of healing. And finally, that Sand King is adding a ton of damage and stun. So this is a very good build. and I hope that you find success with it. And I think that you'll notice that all my builds capped out at 9 units. That gives you some flexibility with your 10th unit if you get there, but realistically, from my experience, very few games are getting to the full 10-man roster. I'm finding that a lot of games, especially with the early damage increase of the early rounds, are not reaching 10 heroes. And realistically, this synergy is complete at 9 heroes. So what I would suggest you do is, if you're in a position where you could make a push for level 10, I would use that money to re-roll and to level up your Abaddons and your Lycans and your Tusks. You know, Tusk should be at 3 stars. Enchantress should be at 3 stars. Venomancer should be at 3 stars. And everyone else should be at least 2. And your Lone Druid could be at 3 stars as well with the Druid buff. So anyways, guys, I hope that you guys found this guide helpful. These 3 builds are absolutely fantastic. Let me know in the comments how successful you are. And if you have any comments as to how we can improve on these builds, let me know. I have links in the descriptions to the builds so that you can kind of play with them yourself. And for those of you that are subscribed, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I love being able to share these awesome builds with you. Take care and have a wonderful day.